Shirley Walker King. I'm here at the House of Blues in Dallas, Texas with the one and only Mr. Boney James.
Hey.
Wow. I think my heart rate is just starting to calm down just a little bit.
I'm not scary at all. Not scary.
No, you're not scary. You're not scary at all. Just the ambience of everything and seeing the saxophones, like I told you, brought back memories. So, wow. Thank you for coming to Dallas.
My
first
pleasure.
thing first. We
Really
really
glad to be
appreciate
here.
you putting us on your tour and gracing us, with what you do.
Completely my pleasure. Thank you.
Right off the back, I'm just curious. Where does the name Boney James come from? Because I don't know if I'm,
just
mothers
a
are naming their kids
No.
Boney.
My mother wasn't that crazy. Yeah, it was just a nickname I got. I played for many years as a sideman, backing up other artists. And back in 1986, I was playing with Randy Crawford, the great singer from the Crusaders and Street Life fame. And she was really popular in Scandinavia, in Norway. It was a big place for her. So we were over there for a long time. And everything just cost a ton of money. So I said to the keyboard player one day, I said, man, everything costs so much over here, I just won't eat for the next couple of days. Just making a silly joke. And he said, oh, you'll get all skinny, I'll have to start calling you Boney or something. And somehow it just caught on.
There it was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I love when I hear stories like that. I mean, that's how artists get their names.
Yeah.
Because it's something that you wouldn't think of if you're like literally sitting there thinking, okay, I need a stage name. You're not going to come up with it.
Right.
But when someone gives you something like that and it sticks.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, because, and I was, probably 10 or 15 pounds lighter back then than I am now, but still I wasn't like really thin, so it was just a silly joke, and somehow it just caught on. So
right, because the Southern people were thinking, okay, he was a skinny boy in the classroom and everybody called him Boney.
Yeah, it's just one of those little things, and here it is all 20 some odd years later, and it stayed with me all this time.
And it's known all the way around the world.
It kind of worked.
It kind of worked out for you, so thank you. Did he ask for his 10%?
He does, regularly. Yeah, it's actually Wayne Lindsay. He's a keyboard player on the Tonight Show band now.
Oh,
so
wow.
He's gone on to great things, too.
See, look at you. Awesome. Okay, so tell me a little bit about yourself. I know that you were born in Massachusetts, and I also found out that you played the clarinet first.
Yeah, I really wanted a trumpet. In third grade, everybody in my school used to sign up to play an instrument, and I went to the store to get a trumpet, and all they had were clarinets. So I took one home. And a couple years later, I guess I was the best clarinet player, and he didn't have any sax players in the band, so the teacher kind of leaned on me to switch. And that's another thing, it was just fate,
Yeah, and that's a big transition, going from clarinet to saxophone, because saxophone takes a different set of lungs.
Yeah, it's different. It's not the same, but the fingerings are somewhat similar, so it wasn't too terrible to switch. I don't play any clarinet anymore.
Okay.
I started playing these things, and it suited me.
Wow, because your music is known worldwide. As a military spouse, we've lived everywhere, and we were stationed overseas in Italy. And when I say the ladies there go crazy for your music, just as the ladies here go crazy for your music. And you know how sometimes we can get stuck and we like a certain food, a certain music. You cross over.
Well, thank you.
You cross over. Little story about that is my mother was willing to sacrifice me in order to be here to meet you today.
Yeah, well, I just play music that I love, and I've got a lot of different influences. I love old school R&B is a big part of just my upbringing in terms of the music I listen to. So when I started writing my own songs, it came out in a way, I guess, that's accessible to a lot of different people.
Wow. So what inspires you with the music? Where are you trying to take it to? Is there something like maybe if you're sitting there and you just see a beautiful day, do you just kind of play and it goes from there? Or?
Yeah, I don't think you can ever really put your finger on what the inspiration is. You just kind of get ideas musically, and you got to be really disciplined about trying to get those ideas down. You have a little tape recorder, and just if you have a shred of a melody in your head, you kind of got to get it down, and then there's a real craft involved in turning all that stuff into an actual song.
Yes.
So there's a lot of hard work and experience that you gain over the years of trying to do it. But the actual inspiration, it's never really like anything specific. It just kind of comes. So it's sort of mysterious.
You were in an accident last year.
Yeah, almost exactly a year ago.
Oh, wow.
So doing fine now, but it was a mess, definitely.
So. Oh yes. So how did that affect you with the music? Did you feel like there was something another way that you were going to go about doing things?
Well, I couldn't play. I couldn't play for 2 months, and so I had to concentrate on writing and stuff. And then once I was able to get back on stage and playing my horn, you're just filled with a lot of gratitude just to be alive, and that just affects your whole life. So it seems like all the shows and all the music I've made since then has a little extra love to it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And again, from your #1 fan, my mother, who knew about that, and she even felt like there's something extra there now.
Wonderful.
So that's where that research came from. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, she's probably the one stalking you. We'll talk about that later.
That's okay. I support that.
With music taking a new transition into jazz with R&B, hip hop, and they're blending so much of it, are there any artists out there that you would love to work with that you thought might be something there, or do you have anything in the works that we don't know about?
Well, my new CD has a lot of great collaborations on it. I've got Donnell Jones on the record.
Yes.
And Mario. I keep saying Mario.
I do the same thing.
And LaToya Luckett from Destiny's Child's on the record.
Yes, a Texas native.
Exactly. So, I've had a lot of great collaborations in the past. I've worked with Angie Stone and Anthony Hamilton and Jaheim. A lot of my dream collaborations have come true, but I'm always looking for the next great thing, so I keep my ear to the ground.
How do you name them? How do you name your songs and your albums?
Well, that's another thing, just kind of getting inspiration of, especially with the instrumentals, you come up with the music and then I kind of listen to it and try and figure out what the vibe is.
Yes.
And then try and find some way to poetically express that. So it's definitely a process.
Yes, and I love the way that you say poetically express that. It's coming from a jazz background with my stepfather playing music. It's funny that my daughter used to always say, "Mommy, I want to hear the music with no words."
Yeah, well, it's great because that music can take you someplace in your head, without the lyrics kind of telling you what it is. So everybody can have their own interpretation.
Exactly, and we go back to it being able to cross over because you can take that anywhere you want to go with it and let the music lead you. So
right.
Yes, thank you.
That's why I love it.
Oh, we all love it. We all love it. So one of my real talk questions for you.
Okay.
And we do this real talk radio question.
Okay.
If you could be a superhero, who would you be and what superpower would you have?
Can't just be Sax Man.
There we go. So for all you cartoon artists out there waiting for the next creative thing, Sax Man.
Power to get the crowd to its feet.
And we know it's going to be a hit because if he can do this with this music, I can only imagine what you can do with a very vivid imagination like that. Wow, that's a good one. I hadn't had that response before.
Okay.
What is something that your fans would be surprised to know about you?
Well, I have a degree in history from UCLA.
Yes, you do.
So it has nothing to do with what I do now, but I used to love that kind of stuff. And so it's sitting there collecting dust in my studio now.
And we can hear that in your music. We can hear that in the music because I love the way that your music has a little bit of everything. You have a little bit of the 60s vibes, 70s, 80s, and taking it to the new millennium. Love it. I can't wait, to really get into this concert and see what you do.
Me too.
Again, thank you. One other one is, how did you come about with the new album?
Well, really, I just always kind of sit down and start writing songs. My main focus when I'm making a record is just to make a record that I like. Try and come up with songs that I like. So it's not any more complicated than that. But then as you get into it, then it develops a character, and then you're shaping it, and kind of trying to build this thing. So
yes.
I think the record has a lot of wonderful qualities to it. There's a lot of themes of like longing and regret and trying to make connections and stuff like that. So
yes, and I work with a lot of youth around the DFW area too. And one of the things you said earlier is, and I want to make sure that we reiterate that to them, is you mentioned a recorder. So do you carry one of those?
Yeah. You can't. It's easy to forget ideas. So you got to remember, if you get an idea, somehow write it down or record it, and then do the hard work of turning it into something worth hearing.
Well, thank you very much. Again, I appreciate you giving us this time. Again, this is Shirley Walker King here with you live from the House of Blues in Dallas, Texas. And with Mr. Boney James himself, we are getting ready to jam out at this concert. So again, thank you again. This is Shirley Walker King with KKVI Radio.
Thank you.
you.